Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I created this gorgeous two-piece. It's a long skirt that has a slit at the back and the top has a shirred detail around the waistline, and I've also included straps on the shoulder. If you'd like to make one for yourself, please keep watching till the end. To start off, I'm going to mark a starting line, and this line is also my shoulder line. From this line, I'll take my chest line, my waistline, and I'll take the length of my top, which is 27 inches. I'm going to mark the same figures on the other side, and I'll connect. On the shoulder line, I'll mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2 and put the same figure on my chest line, and I'll connect. On this line here, I'll come down by 1 inch and find the center point here. I'll come in by half an inch and then I'll create my arm curve. My neck depth will be 2.5 inches. From the end of the shoulder here, I'll come in by half an inch to create a space for my straps. I'll connect these 2 points together. On the chest line, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, and I added 1 inch for ease, but while I was sewing, I figured that it wasn't necessary, so please don't add that. Afterwards, I'll add my sewing allowance. On the waistline, I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, and I'll add 3 inches to that figure, and then I'll add my sewing allowance. On the length of my top, I'll use my hip circumference divided by 4, and I'll also add 3 to that measurement and add my sewing allowance. And then I'll connect the points together. On the waistline, I'll go up by 2 inches, and that is where I'll begin shirring from. On the length of my top, I'll go up by 3 inches, and that is where I will end my shirring. And that is all for the top. Moving on to the skirt, I'll begin by drawing a starting line, and this will serve as my waistline. From the waistline, I'll mark my hip line, I'll mark my knee line, and I'll add 12 inches to this pattern for the length of my skirt. On the waistline, I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. On the hip line, my hip circumference divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. On the knee line, I'll minus 3 inches from what I have on my hip line, and then I'll add my sewing allowance. And whatever I have on the knee line, I'll transfer that to the length of my skirt. And that's all for the front of the skirt. I'll go ahead and cut this out and move on to drafting the back of the skirt. To draft the back pattern of the skirt, I'll begin by getting my starting line, which is also my waistline. I'll go in from the center back by 1 inch, and this will be for my zip allowance, and I'll connect these points together. From my waistline, I'll mark my hip line, my under butt line, my knee line, and I'll also add 12 inches to this pattern for the length of my skirt. On the waistline, I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, and I'll be adding a dart to the back skirt. So I'm going to add 1 inch for my dart allowance and 1 inch for my sewing allowance. And I'll take my nip to nip measurement and mark half an inch on both sides for the dart. On the hip line, I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, and I'll add my sewing allowance. Now on the knee line, I'll go in by 1 inch and connect that to this point. From this point here, I'll mark down 8.5 inches, which is the same figure that I had on the front of my skirt, and I'll add my sewing allowance. Now what I did here, I'm going to do the same thing on the length of the skirt. I'll mark down my zip allowance again. To begin sewing, I've cut out the top pattern and I also cut out facing for the top. I'll begin by attaching my facing right sides together. I'll sew from this point to this point, leaving this space here for my straps. I'll sew this edge here to close up my armhole. So as you can see, I've attached my facing to my top. The next thing I'm going to do is place the second piece right sides together, and I'm going to close up only this side, and then I'll take this to my sewing machine and begin my shirring. Alright, so after shirring and joining one side together, this is what it looks like. The next thing I'm going to do is join the other side together. The last thing I'll do for my top is to attach the straps, and I've cut out 4 pieces. I will be attaching them through that hole that I left when I was sewing in the facing. I'll begin by sewing my darts, and I've also made a notch where I want my slits to start from. I'm going to insert my zip and then sew down to this point. Alright, as you can see, I fixed my zip, and where the skirt opening is, I used my hemming gum to close it up. The next thing I'm going to do is take my front skirt and right sides together. I'll close up the sides. I'll also use bias around my waistline and then hem the bottom of my skirt. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope your dress comes out looking super gorgeous. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Also, leave me your comments because I'm always down there ready to reply you. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.